Hello, everyone. You're breathtaking today. How is it going, Casino?
Really?
I mean, it's topical. Like if it wasn't for you being breathtaking, like this heat is taking my breath away, which is, I guess, it's predictable with it being summer. But yeah, how's it going outside of the heat?
It's all right, I suppose. I mean, like life is life.
Hmm.
Things are as mental as they forever will be, But we're all good.
Well, I guess we're talking about things today which are a little bit more mental over the past couple of months than they have been before. Or yeah, you actually offered this topic last week when you said you had a few topics in mind. This one is really interesting. It's about like the community. Actually, had a really interesting story about TennoCon. What was it with TennoCon this year where this topic kind of came from?
So a lot of the origin comes from the meme "You're breathtaking," which obviously stars Keanu Reeves, where someone screams out of the crowd while everything's quiet, "You're breathtaking," and then he replies back, "No, you're breathtaking." And there has been this huge trend across communities where they are trying to capture that raw meminess and perform another "You're breathtaking."
Hmm.
And personally, I feel it's getting really out of hand. You know, it's what can I say more than putting pressure on amazing individuals on the stage to actually reply to your I want to say attempt at memery.
Hmm.
It doesn't help. These lovely individuals, they're under a lot of pressure as it stands. And do you genuinely think that screaming at the top of your lungs, it's Tau, is suitable? And in all honesty, it was worse this year at TennoCon than any other year.
So what is it like any other year? You've been there 3 times, and how was this year different for people that haven't been there? Could you like sketch a picture between how it was before and how it is now, or was now?
Okay, so how it was before was it's quite simple, really. Like everyone was there, everyone was keenly listening, everyone was, at bated breath, waiting for the next cool reveal. And this really started with the Planes of Eidolon release, where you have that classic image. I don't know if you can easily find the image. It's of Frozen Balls, DK, and I want to say Daniel the Demon, where it's sort of like the see no fear, hear no fear, speak no fear, or was it no evil? See no evil, speak no evil, hear no evil.
Mm-hmm.
Where they had those like exasperated expressions on their faces, and from there, I feel that it's escalated massively. And last year we had It's Tau, where one individual wouldn't stop screaming during the course of the new war teaser trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year, there were so many. Like only one sticks to my mind because I know the individual that did it,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't want to name and shame, but they yelled out when it was a quiet moment and asked the question, "And all this is free?"
Mm-hmm.
And Rebecca was so confused. What do you mean, all this is free? He's like, yeah, of course it's free. Like, that's been our model this entire time.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to suddenly change that.
Yeah,
And
I have the
go
shot
on.
right here.
That's
Uh,
the one. That is the one. They had it on
yeah.
their their Twitter for absolutely ages as their
Mm-hmm.
banner, and it's like I feel that basically sort of kick-started this whole god over exaggeration
Mm-hmm.
in responses, at least within the Warframe community at TennoCon itself.
Yeah, I would definitely give you that with TennoCon, like within TennoCon itself, Warframe specific, because I wasn't there in 2016, so I was there 2017, which was kind of like my baseline, and that was this. Also, why am I getting pings when I'm set? Oh shoot, I'm not set on the red. I need to be set on red. I don't want to hear anything bleeping in. Anyway,
Yep.
so 2017 was the first year that I went, and that's when this picture was taken. And I actually had, during that time, I took out my camera and I handed a microphone to Big Jim, and I was like, narrate whatever you see, whatever you feel, and go about like narrating the thing. And it was like everyone's super excited. Like I've listened back to it, it's like, oh my god, the entire time, which is like, I think it's totally to be expected that the crowd will get a little bit excited, that that people will go a little bit wild because of what they're seeing, and it's kind of expected most of the time. If they would like open the gates of Cetus and everyone would just be like, "Oh yeah." It's like, yeah, it would be a bit weird. However, I think that that when it came to Your Breathtaking, I think that might have had like a bigger impact on this entire like heckling thing than anything else before, because especially like I didn't necessarily watch E3. I saw short like highlights of it. Um, there was this one guy at the Xbox presentation. His name was Matt Booty, and that was like the highlight for me. But anyway, right after Your Breathtaking thing, people would just like shout out the entire time, shout whatever they wanted towards like the stage. And there's like this one video where it's just like every word they say, they're like cheering at it, and they're not even showing anything. It's like, ah, yay! It makes no sense, but I think that it kind of comes out of, number one, the wide popularity of the Your Breathtaking. Like people are, it's kind of died down, but people are still kind of talking about it. And the guy that said Your Breathtaking was offered like the entire game for free, which he then turned down. But like, we're not going to talk about that necessarily. I don't think so. But it's so. Like it's being rewarded, and people are like, hey, this is my chance to become an internet meme. This is my chance to maybe get a game for free if I just shout random shit at it. Maybe one thing sticks. And that's also, I think, the story with the guy that said You're Breathtaking. I've seen some people say that he'd been doing that the entire day, and he just shouted You're Breathtaking, and then that worked. But yeah.
To be honest, I think that was just luck of the draw.
Mm-hmm.
I think that individual, you know, he said one random thing, and as a result got the attention of Keanu Reeves, and Keanu reciprocated, right?
Mm-hmm.
For better or worse, it has had a massive impact on the community. I see more and more these days on YouTube, sorry, not on YouTube, on Twitter, where people are posting them, not necessarily attempting to perform a breathtaking, but are heckling Twitch streamers and other, I don't want to, more internet famous individuals, you know, just saying like, oh, say this, you know, and stuff, you know, and actively trying to get themselves banned from it's the equivalent of Nezha's a trap, right? But in real life, I've seen numerous accounts of where someone has gotten themselves self banned from some convention because they say something inappropriate to one of the guests. And it's like, you knew what was going to happen when you're doing this. Why would you even bother?
So how do you feel I want to raise you an example where maybe you might feel different about it. How do you feel about the guy that when Diablo Immortal came out, stepped towards the mic and instead of asking his question said, is this an out-of-season April Fool's joke? Because technically it wasn't shouting in the crowd, but he wasn't supposed to ask that question.
I don't know, because that's really put me on the spot, and good on you for doing that. I feel that if he didn't do it, I would have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I would have gone up there and said, well, not necessarily is this an out season for April's Fool joke, but I would have certainly said, like, are you being serious?
Mm-hmm.
You know, are you genuinely releasing this on a mobile platform when we're starved for Diablo content?
Yeah.
You know, and I certainly don't feel that what he did was right, but I don't feel what he did was wrong either. He went up onto the queue, he waited his turn, he waited for the opportunity to say it. Yes, he was the first person to get in line for the microphone. Maybe he primed himself, so to speak, right? But you know, so maybe he decided, the second he saw that, or maybe the second at the beginning he queued up for the microphone, even though he had like an hour to wait, but then saw what Diablo 3 was, and then decided, I'm going to change my question from Warcraft or Overwatch to, is this an out of season April Fool's joke?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to tip my cap at the guy. I don't think it was the right thing to do. But likewise, I would have done the equivalent not right thing.
So, like, the reason I ask is because it differs it seems to differ per situation. Like, that guy, like, we're kind of like, we would have done the same. And when it came to, like, the Youre breathtaking guy, it was like it made the thing much more wholesome than the presentation would have been if that situation hadn't occurred. Like, we wouldn't still be talking about it. It wouldn't have come out to become a meme. So there are some times where it's like, all right, well, there's some good to it. But even like putting that aside, how would you like if you were to dismiss the questionable cases in which these things could be beneficial towards the presentation. If you were to say that every single case of this heckling, of this interrupting and shouting would be negative and it needs to be countered, how are you going to regulate that? Like, what kind of rule could you set on that? Because you could say, well, no more shouting during the stream or during the presentation. However, would no more shouting include no more ooh when the gates of Cetus open, or yay when like Cyberpunk is announced and Keanu is in there? Should that not be allowed? I think that would severely harm the presentation, because the reason why they do it in front of a live audience instead of just making it a PowerPoint presentation that like slides as a live stream is because those added like crowd cheering and the amazement and the feeling of like the people that are in the room carries over to the audience and adds importance to it. If you're not familiar with Warframe, or if you're not familiar with Keanu Reeves, seeing people go crazy when like a gate opens signifies that, hey, this gate opening means that this is a massive change for this particular game, and this reveal was massive. This person, which I might not be familiar with, is a very well-known person, and this is a massive thing to be included in Cyberpunk, and I should be aware of this. So I think that there is, like, you would not want the crowd to be entirely silent. However, how you're, like, I think it's something that's almost not manageable, because, well, can't you say something? Like, you can't say words. Well, that's gonna be kind of like tough to monitor. Well, can't you go above a certain decibel level? It's like, how, like, I don't know, how would you make sure that this doesn't happen? How could you prevent it as a event organizer? Or is there no way of preventing this at all? What do you think?
So I don't think there should be a way to prevent it. I
Mm-hmm.
think it should be a case of bringing up general awareness of how to do things, right? Like when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
right? I wasn't particularly likable, right? I would say things, I would use terminology, and I didn't realize what I was saying or doing could be construed as offensive, right? I'm not going to say any of it now because it could be used against me, but it's that standard teenager, um, you know, oh, that's blah. And it was just like, now I'm an adult. I actually know better not to say those sorts of things because it's really offensive, right? And yeah, I don't think we can relegate these individuals or any individuals, any crowd that we have at a special event. We can't force them to behave themselves, but likewise, we can ask them to behave themselves, right?
So how would you envision that? Would that be because we all as a community come together and like, hey guys, it's not cool anymore? Or would that be a PSA at the start where it's like, in 5 minutes the show will begin, we ask you to refrain from crazy shout outs? I mean, I think one of the first things is that, like, it shouldn't be rewarded with a free game because you're like, that is encouraging it massively. But yeah.
I, to be honest, no, I kind of agree. Like, so I've had the lovely fortune of seeing the Game Grumps live on a couple
Mm-hmm.
of occasions, right? And each case, they turn around and they say, "Can you please not do any flash photography?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because we're up here, we're on stage, and then all of a sudden we're getting blinded
Mm-hmm.
by people taking photos because people will. They just ask, please don't do it. And everyone respected them for and didn't do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I think if people are just asked not to do something, they'll more than likely just not do it. Yeah. Like, look how friendly the Warframe community can be when we see a new player.
Mm-hmm.
We see someone new. Oh, how long have you been playing the game? I don't know, a few hours. Oh, do you have this mod? It's like, what is a mod? Oh, let me teach you about mods, right? Okay. Do you have serration? Oh, I do have
Mm-hmm.
serration. Okay, cool. Do you have pressure point? No, you don't. Here's a prime pressure point. And we do whatever we can to make everyone feel happy. Likewise, if Steve was to come up on stage, or Rebecca was to come up on stage and say, look, we're under a lot of pressure. We love you guys. We genuinely do. But we would like it if you didn't blurt out questions, if you didn't randomly shout out, please save it to the end of the show. But we're under a lot of pressure and we are worried that, things might go wrong. They just say that. I don't think people are going to have an issue.
I would like to believe so too. One thing that I saw someone bring up, the Academy Awards. Now, I'm not 100% familiar with those. However, as far as I believe, you have to get a special invite for those, which means that, like, you're gonna have, like, if you're within the industry that you can attend those, you're most likely an adult, or
Yeah.
you're someone who acts as an adult, at least at ceremonies like that. But I think that, let's see, Nassif brought up an interesting point where they said that, well, so there are some individuals where if you're specifically telling them not to do something, they will do it, which I think is a fair thing. I do believe it won't be a majority of people, so it might be something which is fine to ask. But I mean, I think with a live performance is going to happen anyway anyhow, and in general, I think I think that the biggest flaw that happened with the entire Your Breathtaking situation is not that it became a meme. It's that the developer itself rewarded it, because if you've ever gone online on the internet and you've seen like a popular meme come up, and then you've seen like people try and like imitate that meme and try and become a meme themselves, it's just full on cringe. You're just like, well, just yeah, no, it's never gonna work. So you can't become a meme just by trying. However, when people see that there is like an actual like $60 game that they can get, it's like the only thing I have to do is shout. It doesn't cost me anything. So I think that's something that just shouldn't be. I mean, it shouldn't be encouraged, and I think that I haven't seen it happen ever since the Your Breathtaking situation. But at the same time, it's also a live situation. Like when we go live right now on Twitch, when I go live on Twitch with my own stream, I'm opening myself up to a live audience, which opens me up to like great potential in the sense of, hey, I'm going live, I can interact with people as it is right now, and if I'm showing something of, like, I can have an immediate reaction of people. If I show up something which I believe is really good, I can have an immediate reaction of many people saying, oh my god, that's amazing. And then for people watching that might add on to it. So there's a benefit to doing something live, to having a live streamed experience or having a live audience. Same thing with Warframe. If they did it in an empty room like they do every dev stream, they would have complete control over like whatever's being shouted, except for when it's a fire alarm. But aside from that, they have complete control over it. But the benefits of having like a crowd go crazy, having it on their own con, it's a status thing. It's like you're putting yourself out there. There's more weight to this to this one stream. Same thing with E3. The weight towards the announcements, like announcing it at an E3 instead of just like releasing a trailer, has extra benefits. And I think that you will never be able to control people entirely. And I don't think you would want that, because you want to have some spontaneity in there. You want to have people feel free to sit there, and you do not want it to be a press like a press conference where everyone is just like in the back with a developer, and they're just like, oh my god, a mobile game, oh my god, just a re-release of a game we saw 5 years ago, nothing changed. You want them to, like, you know, be real, kinda. And I think that hecklers are gonna be a thing. Like, they, like, hopefully we won't see them that much. But even in comedy, like stand-up comedy, they are a thing. And some comedians can leave them aside. Some comedians, like, call them out and then get security to send them out. Just like what I know with live streaming, if someone comes forward and they say something, then they say something which we don't tolerate, then, you know, we'll moderate it out, and we'll make sure that person cannot do it again. But it's one of the risks, and I don't think you can mitigate the risks. What I am more interested in, though, is that we've seen this one incident with Your Breathtaking afterwards, like people trying to take up on the opportunity of having the same success as that guy had, well, failing pretty badly. And we've kind of talked about like how it occurs, and what might be some motivations for people, and how we might be able to counteract it. But we're kind of asking the question of, is the community getting worse? So I was wondering, like, is this something which you've seen grown over time? Is this something which you've seen because you've been within, like, following this industry for a bit longer than I have? Is it something that you've seen come and go in waves? What's the pattern to this? Like, is it getting worse?
I think in more recent times, yes, I've just found it. I have just found it. Oh, okay. So, okay, I don't know if this is the right one, but there is a comedian. I have found the comedian, at least, who you might want to mute your browser or something for this.
You can also send it to put it in a Google Doc, and I can share it.
Yeah, okay, sure.
And then we can have like both our reactions to it.
So if I go to So basically, I've seen this a number of times. You
Mm-hmm.
bringing up the comedian thing, it actually made me think of this specific comedian that I'm actually gonna bring up. His name is Steve Hofstetter, and he was really really funny. Like, I don't know if we'll be able to find the exact video in question, but at one point in time, I'll explain this to you quickly. He turned around and he had someone heckle him for one of his bits, which was about equal rights for men and women. It was about
Mm-hmm.
feminism. Now, he wasn't saying that, feminism shouldn't be a thing, but one of the people from the crowd decided that he wanted to put this comedian down for his belief in feminism.
Mm-hmm.
And this comedian tore into him like nothing. And he was like, so you don't believe in equal rights for men and women? Is like, no, I don't. So who are these two lovely women with you? These very embarrassed women. Oh, they're your daughters. Do you know your father's a misogynist? And basically he just like, he just,
Mm-hmm.
his entire show turned into him destroying this guy because he decided that he wanted to ruin this comedian's show.
Mm-hmm.
So instead he became the show.
Yeah, I've seen various comedians do that. I've been trying to find it, but I'm not quite sure whether I can find the exact thing. But I've seen various comedians do that. Like Joe Rogan does. There are a couple of videos of him too doing that. I think that if you just look for comedian heckler, you'll find a bunch of videos of comedians jumping into that. And on the
Yeah.
one hand, like I think it's also part of the job. It's part of the risk. It's like why that's why you don't have the entire dev team on the stage. You have a community for front facing team and not necessarily like the programmers out there. People that are put out there because they have a ability to talk to the community and deal with situations. Now, you can't expect everyone to to react with the same level of professionalism, but you don't have to. It's like if I have the same thing I have the same thing on stream, and I know live streams are a little bit different than when it comes to live shows, but sometimes I choose to interact with it because I think I have a funny comeback. But sometimes I'm like, well, we'll just let it slide, and it's the same thing. It's when someone like heckles, like they bear no teeth. It means very little until someone reacts to it.
Yeah.
Until the stage reacts to it. As long as the stage doesn't react to it, like they may continue, but it's like someone that you can kind of pick out, and then like you can have like as I would send my moderators after a guy like that, like they would send their security after a guy like that.
Yeah.
So
It's not just
yeah.
that, but I imagine, okay, so say you're at TennoCon,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you've got a bunch of trolls. So it's been proposed in chat, trolls. They are out to if someone says don't do a thing, the trolls will definitely go do it, right? If I was sat next to a troll that was having a go at DE while at Tenno Live, I would lean over to them and say, shut the F up or piss off,
Mm-hmm.
right? No one here appreciates your crap. Shut up.
So
You know.
how did you react to the instance where this year's on TennoCon where someone was shouting that you said you were familiar with without mentioning names? How did you handle that? Did you talk to them while they were doing it? Did you talk to them afterwards? Did you interact with them at all, or you
I
just let
didn't,
it slide?
right? I didn't interact with them. They weren't sat near me, right?
Okay.
They were probably about 3 or 4 rows behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I knew who it was because they were I knew their voice. I
Yeah.
knew exactly who it was. And though I wanted to turn to them afterwards and say, what you did was childish and immature, right? And certainly not appreciated by anyone. Only you appreciated it. I can't do that if I can't do it to every single one of them,
Hmm.
right? If I single out one individual, why do I get to single out one individual just because I know who they are?
Well, it might be because it might be someone that you're familiar with, and it might be someone that you're like kindly familiar with, someone that you aren't like there are people that you're familiar with which you don't like. I don't know the polite way of saying that, but most likely they might have not been an asshole. And if they were someone that you thought nicely of, maybe you wanted to tell them that this is something which you did not appreciate, and most likely other people might have not appreciated it, and giving them the knowledge of, hey, if I were you, I wouldn't do that, might give them something to think about and maybe not get them into a situation where things could be where they could get themselves in trouble. Like it's always up to them as to like why they would do it, and like they can decide whether they want to do it or not. Like, like I'm not encouraging anyone to like go heckle, because like I think it's kind of like disrupting. But like if you do it, like I didn't tell you to do it, I didn't tell you not to do it. Like I would tell you not to do it, but like it's your choice. So you don't have responsibility of the person. However, if I see someone that I care about do something wrong, then I think me at least telling them that I don't like it and having my reasons for it might prevent them from doing it in the future, or at least having them understand my point of view, and then they can come back to it saying, well, I can see that you're doing it, that you're feeling that way, but my reason for shouting right now is because maybe I want to enhance the atmosphere. Maybe I want to try and turn Warframe into a meme. Like I really like this game so much, because not always we've kind of gone off the intent of they want to become a meme, they want to become a they want to get something for free. And this is just all speculation. Like it's kind of sad that we don't have a heckler here that heckles all the time, a professional heckler, and then figure out well what their motives are. Because it could also just be that someone is like, hey, if I just shout really loud right now, if I just go pretty insane right now, maybe that will become a meme for Warframe, or I'll be able to like recreate the picture of Daniel the Demon, and it's like it looks amazing, and Warframe can use this as promo art. Like maybe they're in Sunday, like their ideas, intentions are good. Like they really genuinely want to help, and they think that this would be a way that they could help, even though it's more disruptive than it's helpful.
I I don't feel that it's that complicated. I feel it's a lot simpler than that. I think it is a case of monkey see, monkey do. And often this is fed in the wrong direction, sort of thing. So, someone sees Keanu Reeves responding to "You're breathtaking." We literally got a "You're breathtaking" during Tenor Live, but Steve was so stressed at making sure that everything went off without a hitch that he didn't realize that he had been "You're breathtaking" until after he said thank you. Oh wait, you did the thing. And that was it. So
Well,
I feel that it is very strongly a case of monkey see, monkey do. And this can be seen a lot more from bigger individuals doing something, and then sorry, not bigger individuals. I want to say more celebrity individuals, right? People that follow us, follow PewDiePie, follow Markiplier, and are heavily influenced by their actions. Oh, so and so did it, therefore it's all right for me to do it, right? No. There was oh god, I can't remember what his name is. It was Sam something or another. He was a YouTuber, and a bit of a slimy weasel. He would force girls to make out with him, and he would record it put it up on YouTube and things, and he was calling it a social experiment. No, you were pressuring these girls to put out, right? At no point in time were you doing anything that was justifiable. You just wanted to do it because you could,
Was
right?
that what was that a prank channel? Kind of.
No, I might have been a prank
Yeah,
channel actually.
I think that was the era where pranks were widespread and they would call it social experiments. But I think that a lot of these were just faked. So they just hired girls on payroll to just like do it in front of the camera. They made it like hidden camera. Like I actually think I know the exact video you're talking about.
But
It's
even so, even if the girl was quote unquote on the payroll, right, that still leaves an impression on people that it's okay to do this stuff, right? For example, right, this is one of the things that I used to say a lot. I used to say man up, you know. I used to say man, and then a friend of mine turned around. She's got a PhD, and she turned to me and said, "Why man it up? I'm not a man." And I'm like, yeah. It's like, so why man it up? It's just a phrase. And like, yeah, but I mean, are you saying that being a woman is less than being a man? No. Well, you are saying that. Oh. And since then, I'll just say, suck it up. Right? Why do I have to, why do things? There's so many things in common phrase that is just so heteronormative.
so
Right?
I believe strongly in personal responsibility and intent. So when it comes to what you're saying with people that are just monkey see, monkey do, yeah, maybe you shouldn't give a bad example. However, like that person is perfectly fine with putting that video out on YouTube and making it whatever he wants it. And yeah, I mean, I would not want to see. I really think that we're with YouTube heading towards where, like, the fact that there can't be another Filthy Frank is something which is making me sad. But like, someone can just put it out there, and if they believe something which they believe, and they believe that to be a brilliant video, they can put it out there. But it's your responsibility to think as to like, well, is this a wise action or not? And you're the one that's committing it. You're the one that decides to do something. It's your choice. When it comes to like utterances and phrases like that, it's like if you feel like there is appropriate reasons to like say things or not say things, like do it, because like make the considerations in like with your intent, with the way you feel, with your set of values, and then decide what you think is something is the best. However, I'm also a strong like I really strongly believe in that words convey intent. Words are vessels to convey like how I feel towards you, what I intend to like bring across to you. I'm using words, because if there were no words, I wouldn't be able to tell you what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling, what I want to like bring across to you. So we've invented these words which are vessels which we both understand. And I'm putting my intent as best as I can towards you, and I hope that you can decipher it and then extract my intent. And if you don't, then we have this feedback, like direct feedback approach, where you can be like, well, what do you mean exactly? And I can come back and say, well, I meant this, and I can explain it in different words. So I'm personally like, the thing is that you'll always offend people, and even if you're just sitting down at your home not doing anything, you will offend people because the world gets offended. Like, and I'm like, well, my intent is not to cause people harm, but at the same time, I'm here to do what I believe is right. And if my intent is telling you to man up, because my intent is not to say like, oh, are you womening up? Because like, I mean, the hell. What the hell? Why would I ever like have that as my intent? My intent is just like, hey, come on, get over it. Just get on with it. Like, that's my intent. And like, if you're questioning about it, like, hey, do you mean that? Then I'll just say, well, no, I don't mean that. That is not my intent. My intent is to say, well, this. And I think that if you were to go, like, personally, I continue to say man up, because like, I think that it's my intent that counts. And if we were to take every single phrase and every single word and weigh it out, it's like, where the hell, like, you can't even say things anymore, because every single possible word would end up being offensive to some person, and it's like, okay, well, yeah, here we go. And it will be completely counterintuitive. However, yeah, go ahead.
So so I don't think you can blindly say that. Yeah. So I feel as a straight, oh god, I can't remember what the term is, but basically a straight white man, right? I am not afforded a lot of leniency with the professional workplace environment. You know, so it's there are often, you know, oh, so and so is being sexist, so and so is being racist, so and so is being homophobic, right? There are all these prejudice words that are used by every other ethnic or gendered diversity, right? But white straight men don't have any, right?
Yeah. So let me just interject with, first of all, if people come out with that, because I'm okay. Let me build this up from the ground, because like, we were talking about heckling and now we're into here, and I'm like, it's fine. Like, I really love going on tangents. I think that over the last 20 years, we've seen something incredibly interesting when it came to the internet, the rise of the internet, and the rise of like the communication that we're going through right now. It's completely unprecedented at the rate at which we can communicate and at the mass that we can communicate. So where like 100 years ago, or maybe 200 years ago, if I wanted to like communicate with you, I would have to write you a letter, and 2 weeks later you would get that. Or maybe a month later, or maybe 3 months later, depending on where you lived. And then you would write me back, and then that's the way we could communicate. If we were to have a face-to-face conversation, or even a public square conversation, then the max amount of people that would actually see that and be aware of it would be about 20 to 25, but it's super optimistic, because honestly, who gives a shit? Like, I personally never go out on the street and walk around like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Are you talking about something interesting? Because you have to get on with your day, man. Like, you have to do things. However, with the rise of the internet, with Facebook, with Twitter, like social media right now, you have this wonderful device on your phone where you can just sit, and if you're bored, most of the time if you're bored, or you're taking a shit, you can just go on there, you can post something on there, and the entire world can see it, and can respond to it in lifetime, and can talk about it, and about those conversations, about that thing, that will be conversations about those conversations, about those conversations. So things are being processed at such a rapid rate by a wild variety of individuals that this is something which has been like, which I don't think has ever been seen in the history of human beings before. And it's something which is really, really weird, because at the same time, the thing that social media does is create echo chambers, which is, if I go on Twitter, I'll decide to follow people which I like, and if I find people that I don't like, I'll most likely unfollow them. So if I were to see two people which I have no relationship with, or I might just be vaguely familiar with, but I don't know them personally, have a conversation, and there might be something which I don't agree with, if I were to respond to that, which I can on Twitter, or on Facebook, or whatever, or I might take a screenshot and post it, then the people within my circles, which are very likely to agree with me, most likely will agree with me, and then they might respond to it, and then other people that agree with them might respond to it, and then they're raising this one thing which will be bounced back and forth until to like a height which normally wouldn't be reached there. And then you have that with so many different details about one single conversation. Boom, there it goes. Where normally it might just be like two people just having a gag at each other, or two people just having a conversation. Like right now, we're having a debate right here, and we're exploring ideas, and we're bouncing ideas back and forth, and we might take stances which we are not in full agreement with, and I might be talking with people which I'm not in full agreement with, because can you imagine how boring life would be if you were to be in agreement with everyone that you talk to? Like, that'd be the worst. So, like, it's something which is like of a completely unprecedented scale, and it's like something that we're trying to grasp. It's something which is on such a rapid level, and that's where we see a lot of people that are like offended. They come through on the internet. Why? Well, a theory that I have, or like a hypothesis which I might have, is that I think there was a research by Facebook a couple of years ago which said, well, where the results was that if there's posts on the internet or posts on Facebook that make you angry, you're much more likely to interact with it than when there are posts that make you happy. Why is that? Well, most likely it's like a biological thing where if you encounter something which you find dangerous or upsetting or not pleasing, it makes far more sense to go and announce to your tribe that that thing is there and it's upsetting you, because that could be a grave danger to everyone, than it would be when you find something which is really, really nice, and then you like you wouldn't necessarily have to tell that, because it's not life threatening. Like, it's nice to tell it, but like, if you were to not tell about like the thing that you found endangering or you found upsetting, that thing might turn around and kill you. So more likely we're here to come around and be angry about things, and things that get us angry get our attention more than things that make us happy. So when there is a conversation, most likely the thing that makes people angry will get people up and rising, and will have this thing being elevated to levels which most likely will reach above what it would normally get. So with that being said, as a background, whenever I enter in a conversation, I have to put this out. Like, this is a hypothetical, because I don't think I've ever had a conversation where this was leveraged against me. But if I were to have an argument or a discussion with someone, and they were to come forward without any basis of supporting the accusation, where it comes to which, like, how easily people throw around terms of sexist, racist, and homophobe, and all that stuff, it's a discussion killer. Because, like, in order to have a discussion, you need to take, well, most likely we'll have two different sides, and you're trying to understand each other, where you're coming from, and elevate it to a higher ground and come to a mutable understanding. And if one of the two sides just decides to like quit it and starts to attack the person on the personal level without any base for it, because let's face it, words like calling someone a sexist, calling someone a racist, those are some really hefty accusations. Like, most likely you would not dash them out anytime. Like having someone that is purely racist, like, I don't think I've ever encountered someone where I was 100% certain that I was ready to call them that. I might have had suspicions about how they felt about things, and then discuss that, and then try to counter their arguments. But that's a hefty accusation, so that's a killer. That is a conversation discussion killer. If someone just throws that around, if you were to come around and say, I disagree because you're racist, then, like, basically there's nowhere for this discussion to go. And you can better step out of it, because, yeah, it's like, all right, well, are we here to have an intellectual debate, or are we here to slander each other on the grounds, on like questionable grounds?
So, funny story. I say funny story.
Mm-hmm.
So a good friend of mine says that offense isn't given, it is taken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And though I don't 100% agree with him, I do agree with him. Like, I often have to choose very carefully the words I use to make sure that I don't offend some of my friends. And I know when I'm tired and when I'm distracted,
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much just trip on landmines. You know, I say things that piss people off left, right, and center. So often when I'm busy, I try my hardest not to actually talk to people. Yeah. And yeah, but at one point in time, I was on, I think it was Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
and I was having a debate with someone. Someone tried to like have an argument with me, and they tried to end the conversation by calling me homophobic. You know,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you don't agree with me because you're homophobic. It's like I reply with, no, I don't agree with you because you're stupid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and like it's absolutely mental how people will use these get out of free jail cards as often as they can to do things. And you're right, bringing this into the topic of, you know, people love drama,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, I cannot stand 90% or maybe even 95% of American TV because it is drama all the time. The
Mm-hmm.
show 24, cliffhanger. Sorry, like the good first episode, then cliffhanger. What's it called? Resolution of cliffhanger. Dull middle bit. Cliffhanger. Like there was so much of the show that was not entertaining. It was just filler between the cliffhangers. Like honestly, and a lot of people may hate me for this, I hate Game of Thrones. Right? I find it boring for the exact reason. Yeah. I struggled with season 4, and then I watched like one episode, well, maybe half an episode of season 5, and I'm like, they've just gone back to the same thing. Done. I'm just done. Like, I'd much rather them focus one season on a selection, or maybe one episode per episode, on a subset of the cast, not the whole thing. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, it's just like why do we have to dramatize absolutely everything? Why can't we just be happy? As you say, he who shall not be named, and I'm not talking about Voldemort, right? That one content creator that tried to victimize himself to no avail, that Warframe was out to get him. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And do you know who I'm talking about?
I
I'm
know
not
what you're
saying the name.
talking about.
Yeah, okay. You know, and like he tried to monetize off of that to no end, right? I monitored, I watched. We were going to cover it, Loz and I, but then the more I ended up talking about it, the more I realized I didn't want to give any attention to this individual, right? That was my gut feeling. But the hilarious thing was that this person who had what's called over the number of subscribers I have now, right? They
Mm-hmm.
had like 15,000. They set up a Patreon account and got nothing. None of their what's called followers on YouTube, what's called subscribe to Patreon. And this guy pushed and pushed. It was actually hilarious. I actually discovered that he had his website,
Mm-hmm.
which he had a domain name that was pointing to his YouTube channel. That was hosted by his home computer.
Secret stuff you find as a as a programmer.
Yep,
So
I can find things out.
let me like my great suspicion is that it's just people that are bored out of their minds and just have nothing to do in their lives, or very little. Because let's face it, if you have something that you're completely occupied with, something that you are completely like it takes up all your time, and you're happy it takes up all your time, and you're in like you're in this flow of life where life has meaning, and you can't wait to get out of bed every day because you're making progress on the thing that you love to do, then I tell you, you're not sitting on Twitter the entire day being mad at everyone, at anyone and everyone. Like, as an example, Elon Musk, he's out on Twitter a lot.
Yeah.
more than other people of his caliber, but I don't ever see him argue with every single person that tries to call Tesla shit or that tries to call SpaceX a bad idea, because you just don't have the time. Because why would you waste your time at it? However, because it's this thing where, hey, we have this technology which we're not entirely sure of, because for the longest time this phone right here, like not this phone but this phone right here, was you could use that to talk to someone that you knew, if you had their number, and then you could talk to them only when the signal was there, and you could talk to them only for a short amount of time because the charges were a lot and it was like very expensive to call. So you'd call them and be like, hey, let's meet up like on Saturday or so, and then we would talk about it more. Yeah, sure. And you put it down. That was the phone, and now it turned into like this one device which, if connected to the internet, holds all the knowledge of like humanity. Like literally, over centuries we've been building libraries to contain knowledge and trying to like have this place where we could understand from our forefathers what they've learned, like try to learn and build upon like the shoulders of the people that gone before us and learned new knowledge. And instead of having to build this massive library, instead of having to like be lucky that you live in this city, which might be at the time in Egypt the only place where there is this one library on the entire planet, we now have it in our hands. And in fact, I can pull up 2 of these devices just within arm's reach, and that's not accounting for the laptop that I have sitting here, the computer that I have sitting here. It's everywhere. Like, we now have unlimited access to the knowledge of humanity. It's right here. It's in your hand. However, what does it mean? It's something which is like most people might not even think about it. And even if you think about it, to understand what that means, the historical significance of that is such a mind-blowing thing, which that I don't even feel that people in general like might be concerning themselves with. It might be something which you might not even be able to grasp. I don't think that I fully grasp what this thing means. Like, seriously, like the fact that I use this to watch like memes the entire day. It's like, can you imagine that you go up to a scholar of like 500 years ago and you tell them, hey, this defies all the knowledge in the world, and he asks you, what are you doing with it? Well, I just look at like funny pictures of gags that people spread around like 10,000 times. And he's just like, well, what's going on? What are you doing? How dare you? But what we do have is, and which is easy to understand, is that we have Twitter, which is a very easy access medium. Like, you sign up, it's free, you can create as many accounts as you want, you go on there, you type something, and the world can see it. Well, that's interesting. And we also have this thing where we know that if we type in something which makes people angry and upset, more people will listen. So if you're just sitting there passing time because maybe you're not living your most fulfilled life, and you're having these things which might be upsetting you because, well, let's face it, if you're not like living the life that you want to live, there will be some things that are in the way which might be very frustrating to you. Then how tempting is it to just go out on Twitter, just post something, and then get reactions out of it of people that might be angry with you? And then maybe people react to it which are supporting you. And then like, oh, hey, all of a sudden, you're interacting with people, and you're making change, you're having them react to you, and you're just seeing how far this goes. It's just people that have nothing better to do. And honestly, I recently had someone come out of the blue, out of nowhere, and try to start like this little fight, like drama thing with me. And honestly, like, I remember like we looked at that, and like,
is this the one I'm thinking?
Yeah, it's the one you think it is. Like, there was a lot of support on from my end, which I super appreciate everyone that came out and spoke in support of me, because it was kind of like completely ridiculous. But I could have made a video out of that. However, that would require me to go out, grab screenshots of the tweet, just like analyze it, talk about how I thought it was ridiculous, talk about how I thought that like Twitter wasn't the place for this, and how this was completely out of place, and it was basically an action which had masked intentions. Like, the way that the things came out were like the things that they were looking for and asking for were completely not the things that they were asking for. They had completely different intent. I was like, well, I could make a video about that, but why would I? Because like that would take hours out of my day, and at the end of the day, no one knows who these people are. No one cares about who these people are. And I can make like I think that was the time when I made the giving away 5,000 platinum to a Twitch streamer. Instead, like, I spent my time making faint videos which I think are fun. And why wouldn't you? Like, I just think it's a massive waste of time. But it's super appealing if you have time to spare and you're unsatisfied with life. So yeah, like, I mean, that's the way that I stand towards it.
I honestly completely agree with you. I know what you're talking about. But the thing is, you don't even create that sort of sensationalized content. You don't do what he who shall not be named did, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much would your audience appreciate the drama? I don't think they would in the slightest, right? It's one of the reasons why I didn't do that segment on he who shall not be named. It's inciting toxic behavior, and it was excellent. I personally think it was excellent to the number of people that turned around and supported you,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Because what was being said and or done was not appropriate.
No.
Yeah. And in all honesty, I dislike the lack of professionalism from should I name him? I want to name him. He's someone else.
Go ahead. Like the like.
Yeah. I honestly think what Retalius had did with that one video, right, calling out the DE with their Guys of the Lotus problem,
Mm-hmm.
I think that was completely unprofessional. That was horribly unprofessional. Not to the point of he should be kicked from the partner program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that just makes the situation worse, right? If you start silencing people for their opinions, then it's oof, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I would be amazed if he is ever invited to TennoCon again, because
Yeah.
he got so many facts wrong. He got a lot of facts right, but he got so many facts wrong, and he personally attacked many of the any number of DE staff members.
Yeah. Like I actually managed to see that video, like when it released early. Like I don't really watch his content, but I was later contacted by a few people that said, "Hey, did you see the video?" And I was like, "Which video you're talking about?" And then they sent me the link, and I was really surprised that that thing even blew up, because when I watched it, I consider it to be like a standard drama attention-seeking video, and that was just from my perspective. It might have been that his intent was to go after and figure out the things that he thought were true, but I think that the research was very incomplete. It was very one-sided, and in general, when it comes to these drama videos, it's like my stance towards things that I disagree with, or I have discontent with. So when it comes to things that Warframe is doing, like every time that I see a drama video or someone calling out like that, there are cores of truth in it. There is a reason most of the time why someone goes out of their way to talk about it publicly. Like these reasons might be that they just want to grab for the fame, but there might also be reasons that there is actually something there which they're upset about. And you gotta find the thing that they're upset about, because most of the time they don't even know what it is that they're upset about. Like they might be searching for things, but they might not be willing to go for the truth. They might just want to like reconfirm whatever it is that they're thinking. So I do think that there are some things where there's faults on both sides. There are I don't think Digital Extremes is a perfect company. However, I don't talk about these things in videos. I don't make videos about it. I don't tweet about it, because if there's a problem I have with Digital Extremes, which I think I care enough about that I want to talk with them about it, that I want them to know, I'll talk to them. And if they don't want to listen, then that's fine. Like, I've tried talking to them, and if they don't want to listen, it's their decision to do whatever they want to do. They're their own individual entity. Same with you. If you were to do something which I was very upset by, if you were doing something which I completely disagreed with, then I would call you up or send you a message and be like, "Hey, Drew, I just saw you did this. I feel it's not really a good thing to do. I don't like it because of this, and we might have a discussion about why you didn't like it, or why I didn't like it, or why you think it's alright. However, if you decide to continue on with it, it's in your own right. You can do it. It's fine. However, the thing is that, see, I thought about this a long time, especially because I've been streaming for like about a year, like every single day, and as like every single time on stream, like I hope that it's fun. Like I enjoy every single stream, and I always want to make people feel happy about it. So I hope that like everyone feels as though every stream is like I'm having a blast. I can tell you right now that there are definitely streams where I am feeling like shit, where I am feeling garbage, where I'm not in the mood to laugh, but you go for it. And like then people come on and like you have a conversation, and it starts to become like genuinely like a fun thing. And then I've been thinking about this for some time. It's like why can't I not go out and tweet about things that I feel shit about? Why can I not go out, and why do I not feel like it's appropriate for me to go out and like start a stream and say, hey guys, I just feel awful and I hate this, and like this is absolutely ridiculous. And well, the thing is that if it's something that I'm struggling with, it's like a burden that like I'm bearing, but I'm not the only one. Like I am very keenly aware, because out of my own experience I know the same thing, that everyone has their own things that they're struggling with, and I don't know about that, what that is for every single one of the people that's watching me. And most likely, like what I do is I turn to streams and I turn to videos to just have some relief from like the constant struggle that I'm going through. I'm like, all right, let me just watch a video, let me just watch some Warframe, let me just watch this thing that I really enjoy, and just like have some fun, put my mind off it. And then if I were to turn it on and then someone else comes around and just starts berating me about everything that they're going through, which is like they're suffering and life is so unfair to me, it's like, well, like, number one, that's not helping me, but number two, like, why should you carry my burden? Like, it's unfair if I'm just going out and just throwing my burden on top of you. Like, oh, this is what I'm dealing with, listen to me. And that's not me saying that you should never share or talk about what you're struggling with, because most of the time you're not thinking, okay? So like thinking is something that you very rarely do. Like most often if thoughts appear to you, they more appear to you like dreams. Like you don't have complete control over your dreams. It's just they appear to you. And most thoughts are like that. Like if you really think about thinking only happens when you have an idea that kind of like pops up, like as though you're walking into the room and it's just there. Like an idea pops up or like a thought pops up. And if you want to think, you take that idea that you just got and you throw everything you possibly can at it to criticize it. And if at the end of like your utmost effort to take that idea down, it still stands, then that's a well thought out idea. Otherwise, it's just something that came up to you like a dream. How much it's yours, I'm not ready to go into that because that's an entirely different thing. However, it's really tough to think. So most of the time, the way that we think is by talking to people, like calling someone up or like writing. Like you can talk to yourself by writing things down. It's a great way of like you put out your thoughts, you put out your thoughts to someone, and they receive your thoughts, and then they're like, "Well, you told about this thing that you're going through, but it seems like you're like these things don't line up. Can you clarify them for me?" And most of the time, when they ask you to clarify something, it might be something that you have completely overlooked. So talking to people is really important. However, it's got to be a voluntary thing. It's like someone's like I'm really like I'm willing to help people out. If you have problems, if there's something you're going for, just like I'm open. I can talk to you. I don't know if I can help you, but I can sit here. I can listen. I can let you know what my honest reactions are to what you're saying to me, because I think that that's the best way to help you. Because if you're just to help you, like you can put out what you feel, well, you can put out the way you feel, and I just give my honest reaction to it. How do I react? How does that make me feel? Is there something that doesn't make sense? And I think that really helps if people are willing to take that on. However, not everyone is out here able to shoulder it, because maybe they have things that they themselves are dealing with, and they can't take it. And it's like, who am I to involuntarily throw it on you? So I don't like I don't feel it has any place for my content. Same thing, and that's exactly like when it comes to drama and all that stuff. I'd much rather make fun content, and only
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
so like, wow, dude, verbal barfage. Okay, so I agree with you. I think that it's important to maintain a positive attitude towards your
Mm-hmm.
cast, your viewers, right? It's, you don't come out of a cinema and go, oh man, that film was so crap, I'm gonna mope about it all day. You enjoy the good movies, you enjoy the well constructed movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't like the BS movies, right? There's one movie that I particularly hate, Sunshine. I hate it with a passion. Yes, I do bring it up every now and again. But likewise, if there is something in life that's getting you down, like, I hate the fact that I'm having to move because my landlady is a C word. But at the same time, this is an opportunity, right? I'm going to be able to move, hopefully, somewhere closer to work, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm able to actually talk to people. I'm able to actually say, hey, can I vent my frustrations to you? I ended up talking to one of my friends last night about that very thing, and why are all these things open? So I'm trying to generate some light, because
Yeah.
my light's turned off and it's slowly getting darker. Anyway, so it's definitely important to actually express how you're feeling to everyone. But at the same time, I know if you don't do that, you let it bottle up, you let it fester, you turn into a toxic human being, right? Not intentionally, it is just something that's going to happen. If you do not have that proper social interaction, you can be violent towards others, you can be cynical towards others. I used to have a boss, she was a horrible human being by the end of it.
Mm.
Like, she was terrible. She had 10 months notice that she was being let go, and she treated us like garbage for those. Like, I went off sick leave for a month due to stress. A colleague of mine, he went off for 6 months due to stress, right? Just because you're not happy doesn't mean you should bottle it up and take it out on others. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise, just because you know it's going to rile up someone, it is not socially acceptable to just attack someone that cannot defend themselves. And content creators, they can't easily defend themselves without victimizing the attacker.
Yeah, I do believe that as a content creator, like, you put yourself out there. It's part of the job, and like, I know about people getting shitty messages, getting unacceptable messages. Um, as much as I hate those, and I do not condone them at all, I do consider that part of having or attempting to have a sort of public career where every channel is as open as it can be. And it sucks, but like, it's something I feel I have like I deal with. It's like if someone comes out and just calls your content shit, it's like I just choose not to listen to them. If someone comes out and sends shitty messages, I just block them, just put it aside. So yeah, um, I think we went on a very interesting tangent. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I really think that this positive heckling
Mm-hmm.
there's got to be an antonym to heckling.
Let's see.
Antonym. Heckle. Antonym. Cheer. There you go.
Cheer.
So, so we've got this whole cheering intent happening. So, oh yeah, it's Tao, woo, you're breathtaking. but that can just as easily go towards the heckling,
Mm-hmm.
right, and the downright bullying. You know, it can lead to instances of, is this an out of season April Fool's joke, right? It can lead to instances, there's a trap, right? All to drive someone wild, to actually insult people, to, you know, I've seen someone that on Twitter that I would like to get to know better personally, but sometimes they just say something and I'm like, and that's why I'm keeping my distance, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And it's like, it's difficult, it really is. But honestly, if I could convey any message to anyone listening, anyone watching, is mind your manners. I don't mean this in an offensive way. I have to mind my own manners, right? I have to make sure that I thank people for all the stuff they do to me. I cannot thank Loz, Joey, Tobiah, and all the other people that I work with. Michelle, you know, I cannot thank people enough for helping me get my YouTube channel to where it is today.
Mm-hmm.
But likewise, I'm not the only one accountable for minding my P's and Q's.
Yeah, like I think it's some good advice. I would also I would also recommend is that, see, the world we live in is a, let's see, how could I describe it? Like there's gonna be bad things that have happened to you, and there's gonna be bad things that will happen to you. Like life is struggle, is kind of like some is one of those things that is touted by like a great number of religions, but it's also true because even if you take struggle and like this is actually a tangent. I don't know if I want to go on this tangent, but if you let me, I'd be happy. But anyway, the thing is that there is a lot of cruelty in nature. There's a lot of cruelty in life. Like there are things in life that are just simply not fair. Like my cousin was born 3 years ago with a heart condition which will not allow her, if everything goes right, to get older than 18 years. That's not fair. That is not fair. That's incredibly cruel. But it happens. So you cannot guarantee that you will be safe. You cannot guarantee that the people around you will be safe from harm, physical harm, being offended, harm from interactions with other people, or whatever harm. It will come your way. Maybe not now. It will be in the future. So the best thing you can do to yourself or to people that you care about is not to shelter them against the harm that might come to them, but to prepare them as best as you can. So when it comes to, like, as an example, when it comes to like raising children, if children are being raised in a group of other children, most likely there will be a scenario where they might be picked upon, where they might have unpleasant interactions with their fellow peers. But those are things that will happen in groups, and you can keep your child at home. You can keep the child away from all human beings to shelter them for forever. But like you have the and I must say this right, the Oedipal situation, where it's like Oedipus, the Greek myth of Oedipus that gets the kid that's born, and then the prophecy foretells him that he's going to kill his father and sleep with his mother. That's a situation where
the prophecy does not tell him that; it tells the father.
Yeah,
that.
It tells the father that.
So the father sends the child away, and then it happens anyway.
Yeah, that is a tragedy of the overbearing mother, which is like that's the scenario. It's the overbearing of, I will protect you at any cost. And what results in that, and this is something that I've argued when it came to Warframe and the don't criticize Warframe like argument that people have been throwing around. It's the worst thing you can do. If you want to do someone in real bad, take away everything from them, shelter them, and tell them, "Don't worry, I'll take care of it. You rely on me." Because the moment that you fall away, they have nothing. Because you were their support structure.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And like we've come a long distance from, you know, the original question: is the community getting worse? Right. So let's bring it back to this.
Mm-hmm.
I do think the community is getting worse. Be it like, you know, some kind of film buffs, be it what's it called, video game nerds, be it comic book geeks, be it anyone. I think that we strive to make things harder, and it's going to get to a point where, you know, Tenno Live happens and no one's allowed to attend it, right? Or, you know, they are too worried about showing their faces, so they do it via big TVs, you know, because in all honesty, we cannot control ourselves. You know, we try so much to aspire to getting people's attention, right? If you want people's attention, just come say hello. You know, just have a conversation, because we're going to remember you more as that person that lives in Hong Kong that has a raid guild, like clan in Warframe, that did every raid every week and has helped me with all sorts of stuff like in-game, teaching me builds, stuff like that, than that person that yelled out, "Is it going to be," and it's free to play, or "It's Tau," right? Mm-hmm. All I know of that person, "It's Tau." No idea who they are. Can't remember their voice. Just I know that they annoyed the living crap out of me.
In the end, they might have succeeded in becoming a meme on this channel, but they will never know, because they're not the source of the meme. Well, they are the source, but like it's kind of like, it's not that we know who they are, so they can't really be accredited.
Yep.
Watch out. We shouldn't say meme too much. We're so loving the European Union. Damn it. Anyway, yeah, I think in general, if I were to say with the knowledge that I have, I wouldn't necessarily say that the community is getting worse, because it's hard to define the community. I don't know who or what even when we would say the Warframe community, like who counts as the Warframe community. I don't I kind of use that term sometimes, but it's really hard to like define what it is, because it's anyone that plays Warframe, it's anyone that engages in Warframe interactions, that posts in the forums. So it's a hard thing to define. At the same time, is it getting worse? Then we would have to have like an axiom of value of good and bad. What's the absolute good that the community can do, and what's the absolute bad that they can do, and where do they stand with that, and how did that change over time? So I think it's a very tough thing to answer. That being said, I think that when it comes to scaling things, the chances that you run into someone that will be a disruptive factor, it's going to be increased. As we see, it only takes one person out of the 2,000 people that were there at TennoCon last year to scream "It's Tau" and
to leave an impact.
Yeah. Leave an impact. So the bigger you scale it up, the more of the bigger the greater the potential is that you have people like that in between it. Do they represent the community? I don't think so. And I think it's also like a scaling factor. When Warframe is a game that no one knows about and it's only like 5 people in the audience, no one's going to stream, because, like, number one, why would you? Number two, even if you would want to do it with the intent of getting known, most likely no one's going to watch it, so it won't leave an impact. And if it's like the Oscars, like it's an invite system. It's a screened invite system because it's so big. So it's kind of like in this in between space, which I think again is like one of these weird things that have come around in the last 10 to 20 years of this internet era, of this like social media era. All of a sudden, every single individual has the power to talk to the entire world, which is insane if you think about that. Okay, like that's just something which I can't iterate more than that. But yeah, it's something which is this is the not as controlled. This is the not controlled TV. This is social media. This is YouTube. This is Twitch, and for however annoying it might be, I think I would much rather take one heckler over having the dev stream or anything on YouTube be turned into the televised, controlled drama thing that is something akin to television, or even more so American television.
Yeah. No, I can concur with that.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, shall we move on to questions?
Yeah, I think we should move on to questions. I can't think of much else to add on top of that. We've not necessarily run the topic dry, but I think it's run its course.
Mm-hmm. So if you guys have any questions in the chat pertaining to this topic or anything else, just leave it down. We'll pick some out and we'll answer them. So yeah. Oh, by the way, Favency, good question. So this only pertains to like the people that watch like my YouTube channel. So I will keep it brief. I have been running a Woken Prime giveaway. My new policy, because these like giving us like a decent amount of giveaways. Like from time to time they'll do like a Prime access, a full access. I do intend to like give out everything that I get because like I can't use it myself, and I think it's cool you guys get it. That being said, we'll put out the giveaway and I'll contact the winner privately because I don't want to like waste time in videos like saying like, oh, this person won, and then like have everyone else be disappointed. It's like I don't really care for. I don't never intended to become a giveaway channel. Just like nice that we have that. That being said, I have already submitted the winner to DE. And like lo and behold, what are the chances? I have to check for sure, but I think it was your comment. So yeah, congrats. Anyway, more questions. Who would win in a cage fight, Rio or Rob? Oh God.
Would people pay to watch that? I think I would like. Boo! Give me my money back! Boo! I want a soda.
I mean, honestly, I don't know, like YouTuber boxing matches have been a big one. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't spoken with Rob and Rio in a long time, so I don't really know. Like, if Rio is still running every day and Rob is still working out every day. But yeah, they're doing that case. I Logan Paul money. Oh, hell yeah. Cold Daylight says, no questions, just a remark. Keep doing this. I like the format and content, and I can learn a thing or two.
Thank you.
Yay.
For the most part, we just waffle.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think we give at least good, concise, constructed opinions on matters as opposed to shitting on people.
Yeah. So, like, the thing is, also, I just checked Favency. If your in-game name is Favency, you won. But the thing is that I don't think that on any of these topics I have coming close to a right opinion. I don't believe there is something as a right opinion. Like the reason that I like wanted to do a podcast like this was actually Casino that came up to me and said, "Hey, we have like, do you want to start a debate show?" And like I've always wanted to do something like this because I don't always know whether I'm aware of the entire situation. And oftentimes when there are issues, when there are like controversial things, what Warframe does or within like the games industry, it's something that I might be pretty upset about, but oftentimes there's something way deeper and I can't get to that just by myself. And talking to chat, I really enjoy it. It's super hard because it's not a one-on-one medium. So like I think it's super cool that we're just being able to sit here and we're trying to like figure it out to the best of our abilities. And I really, really enjoy. I just want to say that we don't often like call like talk about them that much, but I read the comments on every video like that we post. It's amazing, and the chat here is really, really cool.
So Nazeth asks, do you think there is ever a time where toxicity is warranted? So, and Zachamus has asked to define toxicity. I'm going to give an example that I think is extremely unwarranted.
Mm-hmm.
There was an article on, is it Rocket Paper Shotgun or Rock Paper Shotgun? I can't remember. And it's a game journal. It's like game news journal website, and they were doing an interview with what's his name, Peter Molyneux, who is the creator of Lionhead Studios, who's done many games like Dungeon Keeper, like Theme Hospital. Oh god, what was the other one? Black and White, and obviously the Fable games. So, but when EA ate Bullfrog,
Mm-hmm.
and he then created Lionhead Studios from God, what's the name of the damn thing? With Microsoft, there were a lot of issues because Microsoft kept on pushing Lionhead to release the Fable games earlier than intended. That's why I've only played 2 and 3. That's why if you ever played the second one, the game pretty much stops halfway through and then just goes to the end. Likewise, the third one, that skips a lot of time as well. But the big issue with this was Peter Molyneux. He would always show off, oh, you'll be able to do this, you'll be able to do that, you'll be able to do blah 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 blah, and he was always overselling whatever product they were making. Now, Peter Molyneux didn't care for RPGs; he cared for God Sims. So, but what's his name? Microsoft pushed and pushed and pushed, and they would only ever fund him doing RPGs like Fable because they had made a lot of money. In this instance, Peter Molyneux had left Lionhead. Lionhead then very shortly afterwards closed down, and because they made horrible decisions like making a MOBA Fable game. That sounded like a good idea at some point, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Peter Molyneux left. He created another company called 22 Cans, where they made a relatively successful game. I can't remember what it was called. It basically had layers of a cube, and the whole world was making undoing this cube. But they were making another game in parallel called Goddess, which was a God Sim. Now, the delivery estimate was like, I think a year or a year and a half after the Kickstarter, and they missed it. They missed it a lot, and they were still making the game. Now, getting to the point, Rocket Paper Shotgun did a interview. Basically, they printed out a transcript of the interview, and the first question that the interviewer asked Peter Molyneux was, "Are you a pathological liar?" How is that for an opening question to an interview?
I mean, it's
in no way, shape, or form is that warranted.
yeah, it's well.
He's unprofessional.
You could always assume that he, as a hard-hitting journalist, had found evidence which made him question as to whether he could or could not be a pathological liar, and he had some deep suspicions about it and wanted to uncover it as an arbiter of truth, and he wanted to figure out and wanted to get the take of the person he was interviewing, and then, given his response, he would take that into his measurements. Most likely the intent. I don't think that that was the intent. Most likely the intent was just to like start off an interview really, really poorly.
Yeah.
Which I think is just a form of shoddy journalism. Because I don't think that that is what your objective is as a journalist. I don't think that that's the objective that you want to have out of an interview. I do like I think that is something which people can definitely agree on be a toxic approach. I rarely find myself using the term toxicity because it's such a subjective term. Because, well, toxicity implies... Well, I think toxicity is... If I would have to like find a definition for the term itself, I think it kind of spawns out of... It's on the scale of good and bad, but it's on the bad side of things. And it's kind of on the bad intentional side of things, which is just meant to like hurt and simmer over time. So it's kind of on the scale of good and bad. However, I do not believe that there is a universal morality. Because I don't think that you can objectively pull out values from facts. Like I've tried to figure this out. Like I've tried to like figure this out as much as I could, but I think that facts are objective. Like I can take out this phone, or I can take out a rock. Let's take an example of a rock. That's my way easier. I can take out this rock and I can obsess it. Like I can observe it, and I can signify the qualities that it has, like the shape of it, like the material of it, the way it feels, and I can give it to you, and you can say, and you can like look at it and then see the same things, and we can both agree to it. And like it has the same sound, it has the same, like everything that we can perceive is the same. Like it's a thing that exists in reality. It's there, and there's no denying it. And maybe there are qualities about the rock that we can't see, but let's say that there are waves around the rock that are also like a property of it, but we can't see it, but other beings might be able to see that. Then that same rock would, if they share it around, would be the exact same waves, because like that's a rock, that's a thing, it's an object, it's a fact. Like a fact is in reality, and there's no way to deny it. It's there, it is. However, if I have this rock where everything that I can see about it is, and we can prove it that it is, it doesn't tell me that what I need to do with it. It doesn't implicitly say in it. It's not in it that if I throw it to you or hurt you with it, that would be a bad thing. I think most people would agree that that's a bad thing, but I don't think it's self-evident from the rock itself that me throwing it to you and hurting you is a bad thing. I think that in our society, it's a bad thing, and I think across all human beings it's a bad thing. However, in order to decide whether it's a bad thing, what is good or bad, like if we wanted to strive for an objective set of values, there would have to be an objective, like, ultimate good and objective ultimate bad. And I don't believe that we can define those. Like, an ultimate objective good, like what would be the most good thing that you can imagine? What's the best situation ever? I haven't even come close to being able to figure that out, and I've never seen anyone that's been able to figure out what exactly is the ultimate good situation. I've seen people attempt to figure out what's the ultimate bad situation, where most like the most brought forward answer to what's the ultimate bad situation is the worst possible pain happening to the most innocent creature. That would be the ultimate bad situation, because not only is it the most pain, which is the most bad, but it's also to the most innocent creature, which totally does not deserve it. Like, that is cruelty to the max. However, I tend to disagree with that, because from the perspective of a living being, I would say yes, that would be the most cruel thing that I as a living being could experience. However, this universe, like the reality, like we don't even know if the universe is all there is. Maybe there's more to it. Maybe there's more. The reality, because the reality is not just limited to your own reality. Like, that's your perceived reality. I'm talking about the reality. Like, the reality is it's not just you. So who knows? Like, I do not know what happens after you die. So I can't say that when you cease to be, that is a better situation to be in or a worse situation to be in than to be alive. However, pain, the fact that we describe pain as bad is because pain is like an indicator that our being is being limited temporarily or will forever be limited, or like we have the impending like cessation of being, like our being is close to like ending because of the pain we're experiencing. The pain is signifying us to get out of there because otherwise you may die. Now, I don't want to die. Most living beings do not want to die. But is that necessarily better or worse? We don't know. And I don't think that objectively you can state that even that for a living being, most worst possible imaginary scenario is the objective bad thing. I don't think that's something that you can state with a fact. I don't think it's objective truth. I think that we might take it for an objective truth, and that's the best thing we got. I don't think it's an objective truth. So, coming back to toxicity, I think it's very, like, it's dependent on the individual. Like, the way that we the way that we decide our set of values, we decide it by ourselves. That being said, we do share a lot with society, because coming up with your own values is an incredibly hard task, which is completely impossible for any individual to do. So most of the time, we just take up like a majority of the values that our community shares and our immediate society shares, and those are reinforced by us acting in that way and people responding to that in a good or bad way. So we can make an approximation, but I don't think that toxicity is an objectively definable thing, which is why I don't use it. That being said, can you use like is toxicity then in any case warranted? I think that if you want me to add, if you're asking me that, you have to specifically define your definition of toxicity, and then we can see whether that's warranted in any place or time. In my opinion.
I think an easier way to address this, and I'm not gonna make this all existential. You don't like feeling pain. You don't like feeling upset. You don't like feeling sad, right? Or angry or anything like this. Toxicity can make you feel like that, receiving it, right? If you don't like receiving toxicity, why is it warranted to give toxicity, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I wanted to go down the whole pain thing and say, like, people don't like pain, but some people do like pain, right? But likewise, if it makes you unhappy, why should you inflict this unhappiness on other people? Yeah? The journalist, they could have easily gotten to the heart of the matter. Is Peter Molyneux a pathological liar? By leading to questions like, why is it that 50% of what you promise us never sees the light of day? Right? I know it's a hard question, but it's a question that I think is in the hearts and minds of our readers. So why do you feel that? Right? It's so much nicer to say than, are you a pathological liar? And do you know what happened well, actually, you don't know what happened.
No, I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Well, basically, he refused to do another interview, right? So he tried his hardest to defend himself. He then proceeded to refuse to do another interview. And as such, he hasn't done another interview since. And they added that to their article. They held it as a badge of honor. We destroyed this man. Aren't we good? No, you're not. You're a bunch of assholes.
100%. Yeah, it's what's your intent, and like right from the start, the intent is to play on the character, and like that will be the same thing as to, like, let's say that you haven't been in line for a while, and like we promised to play together, and like you haven't been in line for a week, and I just come around like, why are you a sack of shit that never comes online, never plays with me whenever you why can't you keep promises? It's like I'm just attacking your entire being, where in fact I'm just like, I'm actually looking for one specific thing, which is what happened that prevented you from going online. And like if I ask you that, then you might come up with something great. Not something great, with like the exact answer that I'm looking for, and we will resolve it. But anyway, are there more questions?
I don't think so. I think we've pretty much just like starved them off. I think they thought they were going to get a good, interesting episode, but instead they're now starved for content. And they've unfortunately met a timely demise. So I think we're going to have to wrap